ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Paul Kaufman.
Here.
Susan Edmondson.
Here.
Ashley Jones.
Here.
Bill Lowe.
Here.
Kim York.
Here.
Ruth Johnson.
Here.
Billy King's absent.
All right, if you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our mission statement is preparing each student for a successful and meaningful life. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? All right, recognitions tonight. Dr. Monses.
If you'll join me. We have one student we would like to recognize this evening, and he is a returning recognition. You may recall a couple of months ago, we celebrated the winner of our Ray-Pec Spelling Bee. It's an annual event that we have, and that allows the student then to move forward to the Cass County Spelling Bee. And we were very fortunate to have Miles Sellami be the grand champion of the Cass County Spelling Bee as well. Congratulations, Miles. He will be traveling to Washington, D.C. with his family here at the end of May. Might have to miss a few days of school, which is okay. He'll get a chance to see some sights and learn a lot in our nation's capital and compete at the National Script Spelling Bee. So congratulations, Miles. Bill asked if he had to spell anything as part of recognition. I promised him he did not. So we appreciate you guys coming back again this month. Good luck at the national competition, and appreciate you being here, but you don't have to stay. So you're welcome to leave if you like.
All right, moving along to consent. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, do we have any public comment tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay. First up on our informational items is the A+ update. Dr. Barr. Good evening.
Good evening. So annually, we give a A+ update. I would have to say that all the credit for our numbers goes to Eric Schlesky and the high school. I just reported out. They really do all the footwork on this job. So what you can see, kind of the beginning chart is just kind of a live, real-time kind of enrollment in which kids have really signed and committed to, hey, we're interested in being part of the program. Obviously, a student can do that anytime up through the beginning of their senior year. And then just because you sign up doesn't mean you're committed, so there's some flexibility there in case plans change. Overall, if we're looking at our numbers, our senior numbers this year as far as kids who are enrolled is up quite a bit. Last year it was 63%. This year it's 70. So I'm hoping that means that more kids are seeing the value of it and really seeing that they can utilize that, not just at a 2-year program, but a lot of our 4-year colleges actually give small scholarships as well. And then you can kind of see in descending order that our next highest is juniors, then sophomores and freshmen. That's a pretty common trend that at first kids really aren't sure, or they're freshmen, so they're just not really sure how to quite get on board with that, but then as they get older, those numbers increase. As far as students qualifying for the A+ program, so that first chart was kids who just sent kind of a letter of intent, but this is the ones who actually finish the whole program, so they keep that 2.5 unweighted GPA, 95% attendance, good citizenship, and do the 50 hours. This is our numbers. You can see kind of how those are trending on ones who've actually made that whole commitment and kind of sealed the deal. So for 2018, we did have 191 kids out of the class, in the previous year 202. So a little less. However, I think what you'll see in some later numbers is while we had a little less qualify, we've had those who qualify take advantage of it at a greater number. And where you'll see that is at the beginning of the second page. We do a postgraduate follow-up with our kids. It's a 6-month, although it's about a 6 to 11 month. So because we keep trying to hound them and find them and say, hey, what are you doing, all the way up until like June, until Pam says, Crystal, the state won't take our numbers anymore. But we start this process in like October and November and keep calling and hounding. And so what we'll do is ask, well, what are they doing? Is it 2-year, 4 years? Is it the military? Is it work? And so where we are right now for that class of 2018 is we have 125 who are in a two-year college, and that is up from the previous year. So that's what I was referencing when I'm saying we definitely have more kids who could possibly be taking advantage of what the two-year offers. And we have 148 in a four-year. This was a slightly smaller class, 424 versus the previous 441. And we do still have more kids to track down. I believe we have like 30-plus kids that we're still hounding. At this time last year, it was a little less. I believe it was under 20 that we were still trying to track down. So also credit to the high school for that, because I do the initial, and then I'm like, hey, go find your kids. So, and they do a great job. Another place where we've seen a great increase is in the tuition benefits. This is something we get from MCC. We just have not received the summer and spring numbers from them yet, but you can see that fall number, which is what they call the community benefit, is almost 200 grand for the fall. And last year at this time, it was 145,000. So again, that's what I was referencing when I'm saying more kids are taking advantage of the money when they actually qualify. And then the last bit of information that we have typically provided is the FAFSA mobile enrollment. We include this because students, one of the steps that they have to do is fill out the FAFSA just to see if they would qualify for any other aid before the state brings in their part of it. And so we do host what's called a FAFSA Frenzy Night, and it is a night where if you are a family and you just don't have any clue how to do the FAFSA, you can go in and get full service at our high school, and they will walk you completely through the process. So that you don't have to wonder, because that is sometimes a bit of a hiccup, particularly for families where they have a first generation college student. And then we also are part of the Missouri FAFSA completion project. So before this project started, we wouldn't know who filled out the FAFSA. We received no data, so kids could say yes, and we would have to trust them, and then later go, no, you didn't, because their A+ wouldn't kick in. So Missouri started a project where we actually get numbers in to see who actually has completed. Now, our numbers are a little down right now, and one of the things they changed that Eric has called Desi on and said, please change this back. Kids used to just pick from a pull-down menu what their high school was, and so it was easy to extrapolate, oh, these are all the Ray-Pecs. They changed it this year to a type-in. So this is the number of the kids who typed it in the way the state wanted it. We know we have kids who typed it in another way that they're still trying to get the numbers from. So we're hoping that this was difficult for the state enough where they'd go back to the pull-down menu. So who we know right now is 116 kids. They do assure us they'll have all of our numbers cleaned up, and then we'll really know the true count this summer. Last year at this time, that 252 that you see from 2018 was the end number. Last year at this time, it was 196. So we do still have time for kids to still get that in. And then as far as the seniors who are on track to complete mobile enrollment with MCC, so our two-year college system, the ones who have completed pretty much everything that they need so they can just walk on campus in the fall, is at 146. This was at 102 last year. So we definitely have more kids who are prepared to do that. I believe some of that is because of our Associate of Arts program and our realignment with MCC. A lot of the kids, you have to already apply to MCC to take dual credit through them. You have to kind of do some steps that our kids just haven't had to do in the past, but I think doing those steps early will help a lot of them later. Questions?
Thank you for all that work and for all the hard work that our counselors do to get that stuff in order.
Bet.
Of the kids that did not fill it out wrong, I mean, is there some way to follow up on the filled the, like you said, the numbers were down because some of them did it wrong?
The state says they're going to clean that up.
Okay.
They're just not doing it at this moment. They're going to wait till the end game and then figure out, did they put Ray-Pec HS for high school, RPHS, Ray-Pec high school? They assure us they will clean all that up.
Okay.
All right, career and technical education. Dr. Barr again.
Yes, I'm here again. So,
Welcome back.
Here we go. So this program, kind of the heavy hitters and who kind of works with this program, not that we don't have more than this, but is Dr. Al Volker, myself, Christina Martin, the associate principal at the high school, because she oversees the business department, and Mark Cook, who oversees our FACS department, because that's where a lot of our vocational work comes from. Also Brett Barbarek and Christina Hawker, they are department chairs in those respective areas. So that's kind of the core team, not that we don't have many other teachers who definitely contribute to the numbers we're going to see tonight. As far as the program impact, this program is really consisted of 3 areas: family and consumer science, marketing, and business education. And we actually slide marketing under business education, so that's why we see those 2 departments. The high school program has 10 teachers who are certified to teach these specific groups, and there are currently 51 courses offered among the 3 departments. 2 years ago, when we gave this report, there were 41 courses, and so our facts and business departments have really looked at realigning, and some of the attachments that you'll see that were for you to look at, we probably won't pop them up here tonight, are some of the pathways. And so what you used to see in some of those is kind of not as a direct align. So I could take something business here, take a little here, but it didn't always lead somewhere. But nowadays, if you take some of our business pathways, they definitely lead to certifications or lead to being able to jump into a Summit Tech or a CAS career. So they're much more aligned, which means that we're giving kids a much more deeper feel for if this is really what they want to do in high school while it's still free, as opposed to later when you garner tuition to do that. So we also have kids who can access vocational courses through Summit Technology Academy and CAS Career Center. And in those programs, they can also receive IRCs and in some cases dual credit for coursework. They do have to apply. It is tuition-based. We do pay that tuition for the students. And then Southland CAPS is a recent addition to our course guide. It is not a part technically of our vocational program, but it is still a program that we send kids to and pay for tuition. And they do pathway experiences, and they also have their kids go through internships. So first semester at CAPS, they're getting coursework, and second semester they are out in the field getting internship experience. They can also receive dual credit for that, so they do receive something even if it's not an IRC. As far as our students and what they can also participate in is we have 5 vocational organizations. So if kids are in some of those courses, they can also then, if they wanted to do some extracurricular and learn more, be a part of one of these 5 organizations. And some of these organizations, they all go off and compete. So you'll see our FBLA kids, DECA kids, things like that go off and do competitions where they can really show off what they've learned. Our current course enrollment for vocational kids is 2009 kids. That's pretty steady on where we've been trend-wise. And we do currently have 37 kids at CAS Career, 20 at Summit Tech, and 5 at Southland CAP. CAS Career does offer 22 courses, Summit Tech 21, and Southland CAP offers 4. Many of the programs at CAS Career and a few at Summit Tech are multi-year. So I know at the work session, not too long ago, we talked about having an increase in money because we've had more interest than we have in the past. And so mainly that interest went up in Summit Tech, where we now have 26 kids, and then 12 kids in the CAPS program. So that one has really expanded. A compliment to our high school, Summit Tech typically only gives us so many allied health and pre-professional nursing slots that we get, but because our kids' applications were so impressive, they gave us combined 8 additional slots just for those 2 programs because they want our kids there. So that is a great problem to have, to need to pay for that. So, and then for our class of 2018, 86% of the career and technical education completers, so kids who complete 3 courses in some kind of vocational or career tech series of coursework, were placed in either post-secondary education, advanced training, military, or related employment. And again, just as a reminder, we are still hunting down some of those children. Last year's, or 2 years ago, the goals that we set were that by the end of the school year, the percentage of completers who are in a post-secondary study or work-related experience would increase to 65%. We did exceed that by 10%, so that's great. And then our other goal was by the end of the year, the percentage of 12th grade students who have participated or are participating in a program-related experience, so it could be an internship, a job shadowing, a field experience, will increase to 42%, and we have 48.2 of our current seniors either having it or have had it in the past. And that can look like the internships at Southland CAPS. It can also look like our ProStart kids who are in the den, who are doing the catering, our coffee shop kids, our kids who work the school store. All of those are considered those experiences, since they still have to, like our coffee shop kids still have to do all the accounting behind that, and our marketing kids at the school store still have to do all the inventory. So they're still getting that real world experience. In looking at our scorecard, lots of our areas did grow as far as the percentage of 12th grade kids who have enrolled or are enrolled in a career or technical course. That has gone up from 69% to 76%. We also look at the 11th graders in that same way, and that has increased from 61 to 62. The percentage of our completers who have that three-course sequence went up quite a bit. You can see up to 60%. Our kids who are passing their TSAs and IRCs, so those industry credentials, that has gone down. That was anticipated. As we have more kids taking those, that is going to go down. And as we work through some course realignment to match those TSAs and IRCs, we know that there's a little bit of a maybe implementation dip that we're going through. Our percentage of completers who are in that post-secondary study or work-related experiences also went up quite a bit to 75%. And then, as we just mentioned, the amount of kids who are having some kind of program-related experience went up to 48.2. So overall, the numbers greatly increased. So probably no surprise, the top goal is that we're going to increase the percentage of students passing their TSA or IRC to 85%. We would definitely want to get back up to where we were, but we feel like that's a reasonable goal to reach, and then continue to go from there. And then by the end of the 2018, oh, I am so sorry, that's a typo, 2021 school year, I apologize for not catching that. The students participating in a program-related experience will increase to 55%. We are, again, believing that the more kids can go out and have that experience, the more they'll really know if that's kind of their thing to do, or maybe not. And either way, high school is the best place to figure that out, not in college and not in life. So other opportunities for improvement is to continue to increase that enrollment in courses, to continue to increase the offerings, really looking at courses that will increase that college and career readiness and lead them somewhere. And then based on need, continue to increase the budget to allow more students to go to those off-campus programs.
Crystal, you might mention how that selection process works so that we understand how
Sure.
that
There is a rubric that the counselors look at, and so they look at a variety of things. They look at GPA, they look at certain courses that students have to take, because for certain things they have to have had like a certain level of algebra or a certain level of science. They look at attendance, they look at discipline, they look at testing scores, and then every student, based on what those numbers look out, get a overall number. And so then kids are ranked on their numbers, and that kind of determines who gets slots, particularly if the slots, if we have 6 kids, 3 slots, we take the kids with the highest scores. And so it's kind of an objective look at kind of, which ones are more likely to succeed in that coursework.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along to February ridership approval. Dr. Pettengill.
Oh, there you go. Well, good evening. The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education requires the Board of Education to provide for proper accounting of pupil transportation twice per year in October and February. These data have been compiled for you, and tonight you're being asked to approve the February 2019 ridership report. Happy to answer any questions.
We do this twice a year, pretty procedural, so.
All right, is there a motion to approve the February 2019 ridership report? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Dr. Pettengill, while you're there, we'll go to track resurfacing bid.
Great, we got some fun things to talk about tonight. Some neat things for our patrons and our students. Over the past few years, especially in January, but over the past few years, as we've discussed addressing our aging facilities in the multi-year plans, we've discussed, as discussed earlier this year in the capital projects planning, among numerous other projects, we're bringing forth proposals to update our stadium track, turf, and scoreboard tonight. The synthetic track surface at Panther Stadium was designed with a life expectancy of 8 to 10 years, and they are currently finishing up the 11th season. If you've walked on the track, you've probably noticed some of the large cracks and seams that we keep on preparing each year. So it's shot. In an effort to provide reliable and safe track and field surfaces for students and patrons, we solicited bids for replacement of all track surfaces. 6 vendors responded to our RFP. Based on price, 2 finalists were selected. A selection committee inspected numerous tracks installed by both Pro Track and Tennis and by McConnell and Associates. This committee then interviewed both companies. Pro Track and Tennis was the lowest bid, however, through the references and then personally inspecting some of their past work, we had some noted concerns. It is being recommended the Board of Education approve the bid from McConnell and Associates in the amount of $196,780.
Who did our track the first time?
Binen.
Oh, okay. Not one of the companies.
Binen was one of the vendors this
One of
time.
the vendors, okay.
Binen's more of a national company. They were not one of our finalists.
Well, and again, I think this goes to show how our staff does a great job of upkeep and maintenance on this stuff to make it, help it extend past even what it's supposed to go. Any other questions?
Have
Is there
we
a
lost
motion?
any children in the cracks?
There is one just between the scoreboard and the north locker room up there that's probably about 15 feet long that you could pick up. I mean,
It's not very
it was
wide, though,
potential.
so it's narrow.
Okay, good.
but it's a little bit deep, but it's not very wide, so we're good there.
Is there a motion after that?
I move to approve the bid from McConnell and Associates in the amount of $196,780 plus a 5% contingency for any unforeseen construction conditions.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Great, thank you. Dr. Pettingill, we'll move on to stadium turf bid.
I guess one more, when will this take place?
All this summer.
Okay, okay.
We will start from the inside out, so the turf will go down first because they have to bridge across the track, and you don't want to bridge across a brand-new track.
Right.
And they'll be done by the 4th of July weekend, and then the track will come in and be done by August 2nd.
Okay.
So, at the same time, we will be looking at replacing our playing surface at the stadium. It was also designed with a life expectancy of 8 to 10 years, and they do that on purpose so you can do them both at the same time. You kind of, it's pretty standard practice to do that. They're currently in the 11th fall, spring, and summer season on the turf as well. And again, in an effort to provide a reliable and safe playing surface for our students and patrons, the district solicited bids for replacement of the turf. 7 vendors responded to the RFP. ATG Sports provided the lowest bid for all materials and labor necessary to complete the project. Numerous ATG fields were inspected and references were contacted. It is being recommended the Board of Education approve the base bid from ATG along with alternates 1, 3, 4, and 5. I'd be glad to answer any specifics if you have some questions.
And I would suppose this time of year, there's classes out there about every hour of the day.
Yes, if it's nice. Those students have been locked inside with the rough winter, so they're happy to get outside, and that field allows us to be out. Like right now, it was so hard for our baseball guys to finally get on the grass field, which they're now on, but the turf allows us to have a playing surface year-round if we can get it without the snow.
Well, and our band uses it, and so it gets lots of use. Any other discussion, or is there a motion?
What are the alternates, 1, 3, 4, and 5?
Alternate 1, the original field was done by Field Turf, which means one of Field Turf's claim to fame is they do about 9 pounds per square foot of infill that goes down into the grass. We're going to allow them to use up to 1 pound of the sand to reuse that. They're going to filter it and then reuse that because that's what goes down as weight to hold the turf down under the rubber. So that saves them money, and we get a discount for allowing that. That was alternate 1. Alternate 2 that we're not taking was to extend the warranty from 8 years to 10 years. We didn't find enough value in that. All the other alternates, 3, 4, and 5, are to add in borders, end zones, lettering, player boxes. So we did pull those out because we didn't know where the bids were going to come in exactly. We wanted to stay within our budget number. But with ATG's bid, we are able to include all of those alternates.
Yeah, we're quite a bit below the estimate that we started with in January.
And the nailer board is a given, it goes,
The nailer board that goes around the track, we don't know because you have to pull it out to see what condition that's in. So we do a unit price. It's similar to when we do asphalt projects. We realize we're going to have to do some extra additional work that's not part of the scope of the original project. So we want to have that available.
Is there a motion?
Move that we accept the bid from ATG Sports to replace Panther Stadium turf for $374,000 with alternates 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Total amount's $378,550 if you want to adjust it.
378,500.
Yeah, with the alternates.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor? Thank you, Dr. Pettingill. Now moving along to stadium scoreboard.
Awesome. Well, the scoreboard at Panther Stadium is over 15 years old, and if you've been to any soccer games yet, we're having a hard time keeping it working. It's failing. The Booster Club is actually soliciting sponsorship from area businesses to cover the cost of purchase and installation of the new scoreboard. They've actually already secured over $60,000 towards that purchase price. Any money they raise beyond the cost of purchasing and installing the scoreboard would be a fundraiser for them at that point.
And part of their sponsorship is they get their name on the board, so.
It's being recommended the district utilize capital project funds to cover the remaining associated cost of the scoreboard until the Booster Club requires the remaining funds. The scoreboard can be purchased from Athco LLC at a discounted rate through the Greenbush Cooperative Pricing in the amount of $102,175.
Do we have any part of the process of who the sponsorships are, that their names would be up there?
We
Do we-
control that,
Do we control? Okay.
yes.
Is
Any
the
other-
102, is that the total cost?
Total cost.
And so that's before the,
That's before the Booster Club
Okay.
puts in their currently secured $60,000.
Is there a motion?
Move that we approve the bid from AFCO LLC for the purchase of the installation of the stadium scoreboard in the amount of $102,175 plus a 5% contingency for any unforeseen construction conditions.
Do we hear a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, Dr. Pettingill,
Last one.
Stonegate Playground Equipment.
In the past few years, with countless hours invested in research, we've updated playgrounds at Shoal, Eagle Glen, Bridle Ridge, and Timber Creek. Each year, we strive to improve upon our standard. This year, Stonegate will be getting a new, highly needed playground. Utilizing the Education Plus School District Cooperative Purchasing Program, playground equipment can be purchased through Athco LLC at discounts previously established through a formal bid process. Athco has worked with the district in the past with multiple playgrounds, including the ones I've listed tonight, and we've been pleased with their equipment. The total cost of the playground equipment to be purchased is $110,960.
This goes with the site work that you previously approved, and then we'll also have the surface material yet to be approved.
You'll see the surface material next month.
Now, as much business as we're giving AFCO, are they giving us a pretty good discount on this stuff?
Yeah, we get a very good deal through them.
Okay.
Playground equipment's one of those things that's very hard just to go out in a general request for proposal, in that it's very hard to get apples to apples comparisons because the equipment is all over the place. So we went through and did all of our research and studied it. Dr. Hoffman was very involved in that, obviously. And we wanted to make sure that we got what was best for our students. Then able to shop through it and find the best deals. But AFCO is very good.
And this
to
is
us.
through a cooperative purchasing that's run by Education Plus, which is the St. Louis Cooperative School District organization. So it's under their umbrella of a bid.
Is the picture in there, that's exactly what we're getting, or is it a
It's all the
kinda,
same
sorta?
equipment. There's a few things, like the ball return, that's shown there. That's not actually in the green space, but just to show what equipment's available, in the rendition, they put it in there, but that's actually out on the asphalt.
I'm assuming there's a new basketball goal somewhere along the way too there.
There are basketball goals, just as in Timber Creek when we added the basketball goals.
All right, is there any motion?
I move to approve the bid from Athco LLC for the purchase and installation of playground equipment at Stonegate Elementary in the amount of $110,960 plus the 5% contingency for any unforeseen construction conditions.
Is there a second? Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Dobson, trash service bid. The dirty subject.
Good evening. On January 8th, the district solicited bids for trash and recycling services. We had 3 vendors respond to that. WCA and Waste Management, which is our current provider. When considering upfront costs, potential contamination fees, annual increases, account administration fees, WCA is a recommended vendor for trash and recycling services for the district. We're looking at a 3-year contract with the first year, and then notice to extend for years 2 and 3 with a 4% increase for years 2 and years 3. Be happy to answer any questions in regards to the bids.
I mean, Republic is quite a bit more. What did they offer, or did they just feel like they do a better job, or?
From what we could gather, they're transporting over state lines, and they prefer to use a dump site on the Kansas side.
Okay.
And they were also the farthest from us to operate. I think their local hub, they would call it, is like 60 miles away.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the bid from WCA to provide trash and recycling services.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Dobson. All right, on to 2019-20 employee health insurance and benefits approval. Dr. Hatfield.
Good evening. This is either a very painful presentation each year or not so bad. So this year, it's a good year for us. As Dr. Mons has shared with you at our March work session, our insurance renewal rate is a 0% increase for this year, which is very good news for the district. Just as a reminder, the school district and Board of Education provide a board-paid medical, dental, and life insurance policy for all benefits eligible employees. And then all employees, regardless of if they're full-time or part-time, are eligible for our employee assistance program, which is just a nice benefit that we provide to them. We also have voluntary benefits that are offered. The only increase we saw this year was in our short-term and long-term disability rates. It was a 15% increase. That sounds like a high increase, but they're fairly low rates, so less than $1 for most individuals. Short-term and long-term disability, in a nutshell, can be described as paycheck insurance. If you must be on leave for up to 6 months or after 6 months, if you choose this insurance, it helps bridge that gap if you don't have leave to cover an absence that might be necessary. We are also proposing to offer an additional base plan to our employees. And if insurance wasn't hard enough to understand, we've had HMOs and PPOs, now we have an EPO. We did provide the breakdown of this for you, but it is a fairly new concept. It is a clinic-based insurance plan that provides co-pays for prescriptions which our normal high deductible does not. And it also provides care at a clinic called Spira Care. You may have seen in Lee Summit right along 50 Highway, there's a new beautiful building that says Spira Care. I believe there's 5 in the area. But this plan would allow our employees to go and have a doctor's visit free of charge in using the Spira Care Clinic. In addition, with this plan, the deductible is $1,000 on this plan, where on our other high deductible, it's $3,000. This may not be the right fit for all of our employees, but we do feel that this will be a good fit for some, and therefore we're interested in adding it to our offerings. So I'm just asking this evening that you approve the continuation of our insurance coverage with the great thing is no increase this year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I will say in Team Ray-Pec, they discussed this and they were all very happy with the existing plan and then adding this new one as just another option for our employees.
I move that we accept the benefits renewal plan for the 2019-2020 school year as presented.
Is there a second? Any more discussion? All in favor? All right, Dr. Hatfield.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work.
Staffing request.
Yeah, I'm not up here quite as long as Dr. Pettengill, but this is a little bit longer. Again, at the March 14th board work session, we discussed potential staffing additions for the upcoming school year. As a reminder, you guys have already voted to add some positions at the November 9th meeting and the January 25th. So back here, I think third time's a charm. We'll go with that. The list that has been provided for your approval this evening represent the items that were in the priority one or first priority list, as well as several other items that were pulled up by the board and requested to be seen on this report tonight. So we are asking that you approve these new staffing additions. The total associated salary cost, including retirement, is $741,175,000. We are asking for that, and then those associated supply costs will be a part of the regular budget. So this does not include classroom setup, technology, things like that. Again, any questions I can answer or clarifications?
One point of clarification is the halftime maintenance position that was expanded to full-time. We asked you to make that effective April 1st because that's currently an open position. So we want to fill it as the full-time position moving forward. So as soon as we can get somebody identified in the hiring process, we'll go ahead and bring them on full-time.
And I think that's even more important. I took a look today. We've had that posted for several days now as a part-time position and don't have any applicants. So being able to post it as a full-time will be very beneficial to the department.
And hopefully we can get somebody in place for summertime.
Yes.
Well, and I think it's nice to see with following with our strategic plan, how we've touched every part of our district, you know, teaching, buildings and grounds. I mean, we've touched it all with these additions.
I think a big shout out just goes to our community for approving Prop RP and being on board with the additions.
Absolutely. All right, do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the proposed staffing actions for 2019-2020 school year as presented.
Is there a second? All in favor? Or, excuse me, discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Dr. Hatfield,
Thank
for all
you.
your work. All right, moving on to early childhood tuition. Dr. Volker.
Tripped on the way
Nice trip, see you next time.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening. So I have to tell you, just came from our National Honor Society presentation. I did talk to them about often many of our board members are there, and Dr. Monses actually truly enjoys that event. But I told them where you were and what you were doing with that, so wanted to make sure I mentioned that. That's a great event. It's just so nice. Now I'm talking about our 3 and 4-year-olds, and 20 minutes ago I was talking about our 17 and 18-year-olds. So I do enjoy this part of the job. So I'm here talking to you tonight, and I want to note that Mary Shatford, our director of Scholl Early Learning Center, is here tonight, and thank her for all her hard work. Received so many compliments in our community about our Early Learning Center. So I really just want to acknowledge that. We are proposing a moderate or modest increase regarding our tuition schedule. If you'll look on the board, I would like to note there is no increase in the first column regarding class. So the class-only portion, that is the same and as has been since actually we started the program. There were no increases last year across any column. So I think it's also important to note that. We are looking at just keeping that, what I'll call market comparability with our surrounding pre-K programs. We are not intending to outprice them, for example. That is not our intention. We are working to serve a targeted population of our students that need the additional support, while at the same time providing an opportunity for our parents who want to pay that full cost. So I think it is appropriate at times to have increases relative to that, so we are not we're not competing with and out-competing, I'm saying that incorrectly, but I think you know what I'm talking about, with our surrounding pre-K programs. So looking at it, it is a modest increase. You don't see last year's cost, but for example, in the class plus 2 hours on the Shark's Den at $81 in the Monday through Friday, when you're talking about that half-day program, last year it was $75. So you're talking about a $6 increase over a week. When you're talking about the full day, you're talking about a $12 increase. So if you go down to the reduced lunch rate, you see where it's $54, last year it was $50. And you'll see $108, last year it was $100. So it's a $4 and $8 increase. For the weekly free lunch eligible group, you'll see $27, last year it was $25. And it's $54, last year it was $50. So we did comparable increases across each, less as you go down from full pay reduced to free lunch.
And you see the 0 there for the class only for free and reduced lunch eligible. Just as a reminder there, we now can claim those in the state aid formula. So since we can run them through there, we can't charge tuition at the same time. So
Yes, and we do have plenty of students that just participate in just, they come to class as a part, and then there is no cost for their families at the, if they meet that reduced or free lunch eligible rate. Looking at our 4-day model program, that is our early childhood special education program with our peer models is what they are referred to as well. Our students who do not have an IEP but participate in that program. And you'll see the class only there is zero cost across that for those students that are participating in the program, as we do receive funds for the special education side of our program. So there are some costs, obviously, with before and after what we call our Sharks Den care. So if you're coming just to class in that program, that 4-day week program, there is no cost. But if you're choosing to stay the rest of the morning or all day, then there is cost incurred with that.
Do we get reimbursed enough, or do we have to eat some of it?
Oh, there is.
For the early childhood special ed, it's 100% reimbursement. For the before and after care, we try to make it
Right.
somewhat match our costs if we can.
Yes, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, we did not increase it at all last year. We're looking at a moderate increase this year. We'll look each year whether it's appropriate to remain steady or come back with you a modest increase as inflation and costs and things in our community rise.
And those are prorated just 80% of
Yep.
what the 5-day rate is for the Sharks Den. So since it's 4 days, we just prorated them down.
Does anybody have any other questions?
How are our enrollment numbers trending?
Oh, they're doing very well. In fact, we had talked and have already come to you with expansion of our early childhood program for next year, 2 additional classrooms on our early childhood special education side. I've already talked to Dr. Pettengill and Ms. Shapford and Dr. Monses preparing for future expansion in our early learning program, which is very exciting. So I don't expect it to do anything but grow. We're trying to grow that appropriately, and we're trying to target those students that need that additional assistance.
So just a little context there, when we did the building upgrades to make it early childhood friendly, we did not renovate the entire building. So we're going to be at the point next year where we're going to be full for the renovated part. And so next summer, we're likelihood, if we're going to have to expand it at all, look at renovating the rest of the building or another section of the building.
Yeah, that was the reference to Dr. Pettengill's conversations. So getting in his ear early regarding that planning to make sure that when that growth and as that growth is occurring, we'll have classrooms to put those students in.
All right, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the Shull Early Learning Center tuition schedule for 2019, 2020 as proposed.
Is there a second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to committee reports. Well, as I said, Team Ray-Pec met and again, was very happy with the health insurance issues. And then they started kind of looking at if this is their pot of money, how do they want to spend it? So they're looking at different ways of how they would spend any additional resources that we're able to give them and how they would distribute that.
Our wellness committee had the hydration challenge. Rachel, maybe, how did that go?
The biggest complaint was just the number of bathrooms in the district.
It's just great to see so many people on board with just the wellness and the hydration challenge. So thanks to Rachel for all her hard work.
And our Next Steps Challenge starts Monday. So
That's right.
we're moving right to the next one.
All right, if there aren't any, moving on to superintendent's report.
Just a couple reminders here. Election Day is next Tuesday, so it's an important day for our community. And so we have 2 board seats available and 4 candidates. If you want to learn more about those candidates, you have 2 opportunities this week. On Wednesday, the Raymore Chamber hosts their annual candidate forum at City Hall. It'll be at 7 o'clock, and it's also joint with city candidates as well, so mayor and alderman candidates. And they don't have very many contested races, so it might go fairly quickly. And then Thursday, our PTA Council is hosting another event at 6 o'clock at the Library Media Center at the high school. So hopefully you'll get a chance to learn more about the candidates, and we encourage everybody to vote and be engaged in this process. Obviously, it takes a great slate of volunteers to make this work for us as a community, and we appreciate everybody who's interested there. And in case you haven't heard, a couple of activity announcements. Our robotics team qualified for the World Championship event in Houston coming up in April. They were on the Winning Alliance team. It's a individual school event and a team event at the same time. So you never compete by yourself. You're always with two other school districts. And we were fortunate enough to be part of the Winning Alliance, as they say. And they also earned the Gracious Professionalism Award from the way they worked together as a team and worked with other teams throughout the event, which is one of the handful of special awards that are passed out. So I think it's the first time they've qualified to go to that next level. So it's really impressive, and I know they're really excited. So I know Mr. Kaufman was there, happened to be at Culver's when they were celebrating with some ice cream last night.
They were having fun.
Yeah, so great event, good opportunity to see our kids in action. And as Cindy said, they all end up going pro eventually. One of the few activities our kids do that they're going to go pro in that activity. They're going to be engineers, scientists, whatever they might be, programmers, that sort of thing. We also had a tremendous showing at the District Music Festival over the weekend. We have about 60 students between band and choir going to the state contest in individual and small group activities. I'll note that Raymore Day at the K is April 26th, so that's a traditional event here in Ray-Pec where our 6th grade choir kids will perform the national anthem. And then Raymore Chamber has discounted tickets for anybody that'd like to go, so you can grab one of the flyers from your school or contact the chamber office to buy your tickets. Looking forward to that. And then I think we're to the point now, knock on something wood, that we can finalize our plans for summer school. I've looked out for a 2-week forecast and see no freezing temperatures, so maybe we're past the critical point here. But as it appears right now, we will start June 5th, which is just a couple days after the end of the school year. Gives a chance to wrap up the school year. With the adjusted schedule, we can still get completed in June and have a similar program to what we've been offering in the recent years. So look for registration information in about the next 10 days or so, maybe 2 weeks. We'll have that out with a link for online registration once we have all the courses finalized that we're going to offer. So Dr. Volker had given you an update at a previous meeting. He'll be back in April or May with the final program approval for you to look at. So April, I believe. So plan on starting June 5th and running through the month of June if you're interested. That's all I have.
Okay. Any Board of Education comments?
I would just like to thank everyone for all the work on the budget. You know, we've done a lot of work between work sessions and meetings and more work sessions and more meetings. So tonight, you know, we vote to approve things, but that's just a culmination of a lot of hard work on HR and on the numbers and on, you know, all the special projects and maintenance and plans. And so just want to acknowledge that it looks easy, but it's because there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it from the staff. So thank you.
Absolutely. I was able to go down and help judge at the state DECA competition today. It's always interesting to see what the students are saying and doing, and it's always amazing. So I enjoyed my day down there. All right, if there's none others, for the calendar of events, April 15th will be the reorganization meeting here in the boardroom at 6, and April 25th will be our regular board meeting at 6 for closed and 7 o'clock for open. And if there's nothing else, we're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.